Hey, you guys, how are you? This is Danielle Pierce of Women Wealth and Real Estate coming to you live on the Fly Nubian Queen platform. My times are Tuesday, Thursday, 12 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, roughly because it's 12:30 right now, but that is when you can expect to find me on this platform. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about fixing your credit and buying a property. I know that for many of you that is a goal, or it has been a goal for a while, and you just haven't been able to quite pull it off. So I wanted to give you some tips today so you can go ahead and make that happen. Hold a second while I share this video. Hey, Dorothy, how are you? Oh, wait, I took Facebook off my phone. I can't share the video. Anyway, thank you for joining. Hey, Isis, thank you. You guys, let me know where you're from. Go ahead and post in the comment section and say hi. I definitely appreciate it. Again, Danielle Pierce, owner of Women Wealth and Real Estate, coming to you live on the Fly Nubian Queen platform, talking today about fixing credit and buying properties. All right. So I'm going to give you, I got probably like maybe 9 or 10 tips or so that you can utilize that actually work. I've done it myself. I've helped my clients do it, and you guys can go ahead and be ready, be in position to buy a property. All right, first things first. Um, I want you to go ahead and pull your credit report first for free. Um, you got to stay away from places like Credit Karma. Stay away from, there's a lot of ones that are out there. They advertise like free credit scoring, free this, free that. There's lots of things out there that are available for free, but those scores that they give you are inaccurate. And so what I want you to do is go ahead and visit the website that's sponsored by, hey, Stacy from Maryland, sponsored by the government, which is annualcreditreport.com. I'll type it in there when I get a second. Hey, Simone, thanks for joining. So it's annualcreditreport.com. There you can go and get a copy of all your credit reports free of charge. You don't get a copy of your scores, but really the scores are not necessarily the most important thing for right now. If you know your credit needs work, you know your credit score is bad. So the scores are kind of irrelevant. So don't pay for that just yet. But I do want you to avoid, again, Credit Karma and anything like that where they're telling you they're going to give you all this stuff for free, because they will give it to you for free. But the scores that they give you are not the same scores that the banks utilize when they go to pull your credit. Even if we're talking FICO, you can go ahead and pull your FICO score if you have the money for it. I think to pull your FICO score right now is $65 for all three. So you can go ahead and pull that if you have an extra $65 to spare. But keep in mind, the FICO itself has about, I think there's like 70 versions of it or something out right now. They're always coming out with new and improved versions, supposedly new and improved versions. I think it's just a way to, get extra money out of the general public. But again, you can utilize those scores. That's probably going to be the most accurate that you can get as a consumer. All right. So again, pull your credit report, annualcreditreport.com. It's free of charge. Don't trust Credit Karma because it's not going to be accurate. Hey, Nakia. Hey, Leonda. All right. And then this one is going to be important. So next up I want to give you guys is to not randomly go through your credit report and start paying off collection agencies. But let me clarify that for a second. I'm not saying to not pay the collections at all, but I am saying you should have a strategy behind the way that you decide to pay off your collections, okay? Because what happens is, and you guys who are in credit repair, correct me if I'm wrong, once you start paying, if you have a collection that's say 5 years old, right? And it hasn't reported it hasn't updated in the last 5 years, but it's still there because, stuff stays for like 7 years. If you go and pay that collection, say today, December 18, 2018, it now looks like instead of having collection activity that was 5 years old, you have collection activity that's recent, as in, from this year. And that, of course, turns around and drops your credit score. Credit score game is really tricky. It can be difficult to navigate. It's a lot of things that you have to be wary of, and paying collections is one of them. So what I would recommend that you do is to talk to like a credit repair professional, somebody who really knows what they're doing, though, not somebody who just does credit repair on the side, but find somebody who legitimately knows credit repair. They know the laws, depending upon where you live. Find somebody like that and hire them. And then figure and get a strategy for them as to how you should pay them. Because what I would do and what I've done in the past is when you're trying to negotiate paying off a collection, I would say try to negotiate that they remove the collection from your credit report entirely. Now that will benefit you, right? Because then you'll have no collection activity on your report at all from that particular account. But having a paid collection, is only a little bit better than having a collection that's not paid at all, especially if it's old. So you have activity that's 5 years old, which is not really factoring into your score as much, and then you turn around and pay it. So now it looks like you have brand new collection activity, and your score is going to go down at least 50 points. Shitty game, I know, but that is the game that they play. All right. So keep that in mind. And this is going to be a big one. And it's so ironic since we're on the internet, but don't take advice off the internet without researching it first. So what do I mean by that? There's this meme that's floating around. It will not die, even though it's full of like, it's so misleading and so inaccurate. And basically the meme is like, don't pay your collections because once they take it off your credit report, you don't have to pay it and it's against the law and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't even know who created this, but it's just some straight nonsense and foolishness. Just because something is not on your credit report doesn't mean that you don't have to pay it. It just means that it's not on your credit report. There's a world of difference between those two things. So the goal obviously is, yes, okay, you don't want it on your credit report. That don't mean that they can't come after you and collect the money though. Okay, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm about 99.9% sure that that's accurate. I've seen that with student loans too, where people make the mistake of saying that, oh, I got my student loans deleted. Well, a deletion from Equifax don't mean that they're going to delete you out of, the payment system where you have to pay your payments on the balance of whatever the amount is that you owe. So keep that in mind. So don't be just taking random memes and screenshot them to your phone and save them talking about you're going to fix your credit based off this random stuff that somebody made, because it's probably not going to be right. Okay. Go to a NACA session. NACA, forgot what, Neighborhood Association, Neighborhood Alliance Corporation, something like that. It's NACA anyway. Go to a NACA session for wherever you live. They have sessions all over the country, Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, New York, LA, etc. Go to one of those NACA sessions. I did a Facebook Live on that before about NACA, and I won't go into all the details about it here. But briefly, you guys, NACA, the program that they have, allows you to qualify to buy a house, no down payment, no closing costs, no out-of-pocket expenses, a fixed interest rate, and your credit score doesn't matter, right? So no down payment, no closing costs, fixed interest rate, credit score doesn't matter. Like, it's literally the best program that I'm aware of, and I know about a lot of different programs that are out there. So I would go to a NACA session. They're free of charge. And just like with a lot of things, that are offering so much assistance to you, NACA is not the most efficient program, at least from what you see online and people that I've talked to and the reviews that I've seen. It's slow. They take their time. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape. But at the end of the day, if you're able to walk into a house and let's say this time next year or before this time next year, with no out-of-pocket expenses. Like, literally, you don't have to pay for not even your appraisal or your home inspection. You don't have to pay for anything. You just basically are closing on your property. Like, wouldn't that be worth it? I think it would be. So again, NACA, NACA, they offer programs all around the country. They have workshops happening right now this month. I don't know where you live, but there's probably somewhere close by to you. And I would highly, highly encourage you to attend that to find out more about that particular program. This is going to be a big one too. You guys, if you're just tuning in, this is Danielle, Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, coming to you live on a Fly to Be a Queen platform, talking about fixing your credit and buying a property. All right. If you haven't already, please share the video. Definitely appreciate it. Want to get this information to as many people as possible. And as you know, if Facebook shuts down or closes down our page, which they've done in the past, it's best to go ahead and subscribe at flynubianqueen.com so that we can stay connected to you by email that way. You can also text the word Queens to 31996 to get notified when any of us on this platform goes live. All right. So going back to fixing your credit. What was I on? Oh, figure out how much you want to pay for your property. So the way that banks work, they work kind of like this. This is a simplified version, but let's say you make $50,000 a year. Most banks will qualify you for between 100 to 150, so 2 to 3 times your annual salary. But you may not want to pay you might not be comfortable at that dollar amount that comes out to per month. So let's say you're approved and your mortgage will be like, let's say $1,300 per month, but maybe you want to keep your mortgage payment at $1,000 per month. So what I recommend that anybody who's looking to buy a house pretty much anywhere in the country, figure out what you can afford to pay, because what they qualify you for and what you actually afford and can have a comfortable life are two very, very different things. Banks will qualify you for an amount that, yeah, you could pay it, but if anything happens, you miss a check, you get laid off, you are not able to work for a couple of weeks. something happens with the children, a medical emergency or something like that, and you're pretty much like stuck. You shot yourself in the foot because you've qualified you're paying the maximum amount that you qualify for. So I would say if you know you want to keep your payments at $1,000, then make sure you go back to the loan officer and tell them that, like, I only want to pay $1,000 a month. I know I can afford 1,500, but I want to like have a life, go on vacation, buy toys for the kids, take up, pay for private school, whatever it is you're trying to do. But figure out what you're comfortable with and then work backwards from there, if that makes sense. So maybe instead of getting a house for 150, maybe you only get a house that's $110,000, but that's more in line with your budget. All right, so keep that in mind. Hey, Carolyn from Arkansas, how you doing? Michael says he's a business developer who would love to help people trying to buy a house. And Trey says the term fixing your credit is misleading because the process to fix it isn't going to happen overnight. Not sure what's misleading about that. Didn't say it was going to be overnight. But yeah, fixing your credit, I think, is the applicable term. But yeah, none of this, unless you have halfway decent credit already and you just need a couple of tweaks, like it's not going to happen for you overnight. All right. But let's talk about these grants for a minute, because I want to spend some time going over the grant process, the grant programs, and how you can best navigate that situation. And again, this applies to wherever you may live in the country. So what you'll see sometimes on TV, on the radio, on social media, you'll see all these different grant programs, and it'll say, get approved for a $15,000 grant. Chicago has 15,000, 7,000, 5,000, 6,000. 1,000, 20,000. So if you're in Chicago, you know somebody that wants to buy in that area, you should reach out to me. I can help you in the Chicagoland area. If you're outside of Chicago, just listen and apply the information to where you live. But the way the grant programs work is like this. Most people go about the process backwards. They will go to a Chase or Bank of America and say, I want to get approved to buy a house. And then of course they'll get pre-approved if they qualify. And then they'll come back and say, oh, well, I heard about this $15,000 grant. How can I get it? And Chase will be like, well, we don't offer that grant, or we don't know what you're talking about, or they'll kind of blow it off a little bit. And the reason for that is this. You have to figure out the grant program that you want to apply to first, and then figure out which lender works with that grant program. Does that make sense? So you don't go out and pick your bank and then tell the bank which grant program you want, because that's backward and it won't work. And the loan officer, typically, I would say 9 out of 10 of them, they're not going to come back and tell you they don't want you to take your business to another bank. So they'll just say something like, that grant program is complicated, or we don't offer it, or it doesn't exist, or they'll tell you any number of things. But what you have to do, though, is figure out, if the grant program is offered through Neighborhood Housing Corporation, then you have to go through Neighborhood Housing Corporation and find out, okay, which bank do you guys work with, and let them tell you which banks they work with, and then you go and get a loan or pre-approval from that bank. Does that make sense? If you go about it the other way, it's not going to work for you. You're just going to end up frustrated, and you're going to feel like people have been lying to you and misleading you, when in actuality, you just went about it the wrong way. And probably because you didn't know. Most people don't know this stuff. Another thing, you can actually stack grants on top of each other. So, and again, this is depending upon the type of grant. But I know that Fifth Third Bank, which is a Chicagoland bank, I believe, they have like a $3,000 program. Well, that $3,000 grant can be stacked on top of a $15,000 program and stacked on top of a $7,000 grant. But all of this is just contingent upon you taking the time to do that legwork up front to see which banks have all these different programs. I'm going to tell you right now, Chase, Bank of America, all the big name, Fortune 50, Fortune 100 banks, they typically they don't have those types of grant programs available. They may have something different, but in terms of like the $15,000, $20,000, $7,000 grants, you won't find that there. So just keep that in mind. I really, really am a fan of credit unions. But again, figure out which grant you're going to go through, and talk to the lender that works with that particular program. That's going to be your best way to ensure that you are able to get that money that really you qualify for and that you should get. All right. Hey, Valerie, how you doing? So that's what I want to talk to you about with the grants. As far as the credit, so to Trey's point earlier, this is really the only quick fix that's possible, right? So if you guys are still watching, we're talking about fixing your credit and buying a house. I'm Danielle Pierce, the host of founder of Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, coming to you live on the Fly Being Queen platform. My times are Tuesday, Thursday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock roughly, right? A little bit earlier, a little bit later some days, like it is today. Text Queens to 31996 so that you can be notified when any of us goes live on the platform. And be sure to subscribe at flybeingqueen.com because that's where we'll be reaching out to you if Facebook shuts down the page or the platform or anything like that. All right, fair enough. All right, so back to the only quick fix. Actually, there's probably another quick fix. I'm not going to cover that today. So keeping your credit card balances at like 10% of your max is literally the only quick fix that I can think of that will give you like a 50, 60, 70 point increase in your score if your credit is already good. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a credit card, all your credit cards, and your total limits are $10,000, right? And you always carry about $9,000 on those credit cards. That's dropping your score significantly. And if you were to one day decide that you're going to pay everything off, so you're going to pay off, you have $10,000 available, you owe $9,000, and you decide you're going to pay off that whole $9,000, your credit score will like go through the roof. Like you'll go up like probably 75 points. But literally, that's the only fix that I'm aware of that causes that type of reaction. And that's only if your credit is if your credit is good. If your credit is not that great, then doing that probably is not going to help you all that much. I mean, it'll help you, but not as significantly as it will as if your credit score is really, really good. Other than that, like Trey said, there's really no quick fix. But if you are someone who carries high balances on your credit cards every single month because you don't see the value in paying it off or putting all this money towards, these credit card bills, that's one thing that's really keeping your score low. And if you were to you should keep your credit cards at about 10% of what you owe, 10% of your max. So if your max is 10,000, like you should never carry more than $1,000 in debt on your credit cards. Most of us don't do that. I won't say it's challenging to do that, but it does take a certain level of discipline. In years past, they used to tell you that, keep it at 30%, keep it at 25%. But these days, if you want to hit that 750, 720, 800 credit score club, you should be carrying no more than 10% of your total maximum credit limit. So again, your max is 10,000, you should keep it right around $1,000. All right. Stacy said, is it good to get a school loan I co-sign for my daughter out of my name? I'm not sure, Stacy. Let me clarify that. Co-signing, if you are talking about buying a house, co-signing is absolutely out of the question. So I guess that does answer your question, Stacy. If you can't get it out of your name, you should, because what'll happen is they use that in the qualification process for you, even though it's for your daughter and technically she's supposed to repay it. You are the one responsible for it, so they put it in your debt utilization ratio. So if, let's say the payment is $300 a month, they're going to add that into the amount that you have to pay because really you're responsible for it. If something happens to her or she decides she's not going to pay it, it's nothing that you could do about that. So yeah, you never co-sign for anyone. If you're talking about, well, really, I would say don't be co-signing, period. But that's a different broadcast. But if you're talking about buying a house, then co-signing is out of the question for anybody. I don't care what it is, who it is, what it's for, because it's going to affect your ability to qualify. And you don't want to find out that you can't qualify to buy a house or that you can't get the house that you want because you decided to co-sign for a car loan or a house loan for somebody else. All right. There's a company called Self-Lender. Let me type it in here actually. Guys, share the video if you haven't already. Selflender.com. One second. Selflender.com. That's a company that I like because if you need to raise your credit score or build credit because your credit, you don't have that you have too many negative accounts, then I really like the Self-Lender program. The way it works is you sign up and you pick a term. It's either 6 months, 12 months, or 2 years. And basically you pay every month and then they report to the credit bureaus every month and then they invest the money into a CD. And then at the end of the term, you get back whatever you invested plus the interest rate as well. And I think it's free to set up. It's pretty inexpensive. But I do like the self lender program. I do recommend that you check that out, especially if you're looking to build credit. And also, if you are trying to build credit for children, grandchildren, cousins, nephews, nieces, etc., refer them to that program as well too. All right, so that's selflender.com. I just typed it in the comments section. You can check that out. What else? What else? What else? What are we talking about? Oh, credit unions. Somebody said, what about the black banks? Nia, what do you mean about the black banks? Do I recommend any? What are you asking me? Can you clarify that? All right, so I really, really am a fan of credit unions. So if you don't have an account at a credit union already, I definitely recommend that you get one. I love Navy Federal. Navy Federal kind of closed that loophole though, to where basically you could kind of get an account with Navy Federal even if you weren't in the armed services. I have one, but I kind of got in right before they shut down that loophole. So if you know somebody who has an account with Navy Federal, they can help you get one. Other than that, it's kind of difficult to get an account these days. But really, any local credit union to me is better than like the Chase, Bank of America, and those companies. I've just found credit unions to have more reasonable fees. They have a lot of the same features. Everybody always talks about how they like Chase and Bank of America because they're convenient, because they're a big bank, and because there's so many ATMs, they have mobile apps. Well, guess what? All these credit unions, I shouldn't say all, a lot of the credit unions, they have those same exact features. So you can deposit from your phone, you can deposit at the ATM, you can, all the different things that you use with Chase, you can do with the union. So I definitely recommend that you get one. And plus, they don't have those ridiculous fees that places like Chase and Bank of America have. I've had Chase. Well, I had Chase for many, many years. Um, and I really started to get over Chase, to be quite honest, when I told the story before. My grandmother, who's in her 80s now, this was about 10 years ago, and she got her first debit card. And well, she thought it was a credit card, but it wasn't. It was a debit card. And she went out swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping. And she racked up probably $800 in overdraft fees. And I remember calling on her behalf, trying to advocate for her and be like, she's elderly. She didn't realize that this wasn't a credit card. She didn't really know what was going on. Can you waive these fees? And first they were like, no, we can't waive anything. And then they said no again. And I said, well, let me speak to a supervisor. And the supervisor ended up waiving 2 fees. So out of $800 in overdraft fees, they waived $68 roughly. So that was really when I kind of got over, the thrill, quote unquote, of being a member with Chase, because Chase only cares about Chase and really its most wealthy customers. And if you don't fit in those guidelines, then, Chase is kind of a difficult bank to navigate. You know what I mean? So I would stay away from them, but that's just my opinion. Stacy says she's been paying on time for 2 years. That's awesome. I'm glad that she's repaying it. Sean says, how do I get the allodial title for the house and the land? Sean, I have no idea what you're talking about. Kelly says, I love Navy Federal. I do too. She says, if Nia says, is it best to deal with the black bank? I should do a separate live about this. I'm going to do that probably later this week. There's a couple of black banks that I do recommend. One I think is United West or something like that. I should know the names a little bit better, but there are a couple of black banks that I do recommend. I will cover that a little bit later. And then last thing, you guys, so I'm going to do a recap real quick, but the last thing I wanted to tell you is don't dispute stuff on your credit report online. I don't know what it is or what the logic behind it or how it happened, but when you start disputing stuff online, it's not taken as seriously, and the procedure is different than if you do send in an actual written dispute. And I learned that from just talking with different credit repair professionals and just being in the real estate industry for so many years. So don't use that online dispute option. Yes, it's convenient, but they do that to kind of trick you. And it's really for people who don't know any better. So you won't get the same treatment. You won't get the same responses. You won't even get the same results by doing an online dispute. So I would definitely stay away from doing that. All right. So again, thank you guys for staying with me. This is Danielle Pierce, Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, coming to you live on the Fly to Being Clean platform. You can text Queens to 31996 to get notified about when any of us go live. We talk about so many different things on the platform. I am a real estate professional. I am a 12-year Real estate entrepreneur. It's all I've done for the last 12 years. Self-employed business owner. Specialties are repairing and maintaining foreclosed properties, and tax lien investing, which I've done lives about each of those, separately. So reach out to me for assistance with that. And then we have other queens on the platform who do any number of things. They can help you with business, with legal matters. We have Vicky, we have Michi X, we have so many different queens who are knowledgeable in their own right. And then Simone, who is our in-house weed expert. All right. So let me do a quick recap before I head out. Pull your credit report for free at annualcreditreport.com. Don't just randomly pay off collections on your credit report, because if you do, you will most likely, like 9.5 out of 10 times, you're going to drop your credit score and you're not going to know why. You're going to be like, well, damn, I'm paying off ComEd, I'm paying off, the cable company. I owed them like $100 for the past 6 years. Why is my score going down? That's the reason why your score is going down. What you're doing is taking what's essentially old collection activity and bringing it to the forefront, so it looks like brand new collection activity. And any type of new collection activity will lower your credit score. That I can promise you. Don't take advice off the internet without doing research, including from yours truly. I'm not offended by any questions that anyone asks, because I feel like you should ask questions. You should know what you're getting into. You should ask for clarity if you're unclear on something. And really, no one has all the answers. So I share what I know, but again, you should definitely do independent research as well to verify it. Hire a professional if you haven't already. Yes, you can fix your credit yourself. That nobody is debating that. That's not even up. Literally, that's a moot point. You can fix your credit yourself. But the question is, do you have the time and do you have the know-how to do so? There is a process behind it. There's definitely a science behind fixing your credit report and the way that you do it, and the steps that you should take. And like I said, if you don't know what you're doing, you'll end up just paying off a bunch of collections, and then your score will go from 620 to a 550, and you won't know why. So hire a pro. I wouldn't. What am I trying to say? So I wouldn't necessarily go with someone that was like a Facebook friend. Unless they've been doing it for a while. I like to work with professionals. So I like to work with people who they've been in the game for some years. Like they're not just up and doing credit repair in 2018 and last year they were doing something different. I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. No disrespect to anyone, but I just don't want my credit repair professional to have only started learning credit repair in 2018, because that means that I know more than you do, and I have a problem with that. So hire a pro. Nativa Hurd, she's on Facebook with Credit Makes Sense Prosperity Partners, is phenomenal. Jerry Tolliver, she's based out of Chicago, phenomenal. There's another lady named Robin, phenomenal. These are people that I recommend who are skilled at rebuilding credit. Attend a NACA session if you really want to buy a house like the traditional way. I talk a lot about tax lien investing, which is really my preferred method to go to, but I know that that's not for everyone, and everyone, it's just not for everybody, which is fine. So NACA allows you to buy a house with no down payment, no closing cost, fixed interest rate, credit score doesn't matter, what else? And no out-of-pocket expenses. So literally, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by attending a NACA session. And they're all over the country. Just Google NACA, Google NACA information session to find one in your city. I guarantee you'll find one. Figure out how much you can afford to pay, because banks will approve you for an amount that fits their guidelines, but their guidelines may not necessarily match with your lifestyle. So again, they may approve you for a $2,000 mortgage. Well, you might only want to pay $1,500. So you have to work backwards from that and tell them, well, this is the amount that I want to pay. How much house do I qualify for? As opposed to letting them tell you what you should pay. Banks, their primary mission and intent is to, of course, make as much money as possible. I mean, they're a corporation. There's no shame in that. But your primary purpose and intent has to be to maintain or establish the quality of life that you want and that you're comfortable with. So if you want to make sure that you can pay your mortgage and still, take a vacation a couple times a year, provide for your children, whatever it is you want to do, then this is how you do that. You tell them how much you want to pay. That's how that works. And if you're in Chicago, I can help you with that. Research the grant programs. So again, the grant programs follow the lenders and not the other way around. So figure out the grants you want to apply for first, and then ask the people over the grant program, which banks do you work with? Don't just go randomly apply at and get a pre-approval at different banks, because they probably will not offer that program that you're looking for, and you will not be able to get it. Okay, you'll only be able to get programs that are affiliated with the banks that you're trying to go to. All right, so if you got any confusion on that, inbox the page or inbox me directly, and I'll be able to let you know. But yeah, $15,000 grant programs in Chicago, all of those, you have to go to the lender that offers that program. What else? Keep your credit card max balances at 10% of your max. So if your max is 20 grand, don't ever charge more than across the board if you want to have your credit score be as high as it possibly can. No co-signing. No co-signing for baby daddy, baby mama, grandma, like literally no co-signing for anybody. A lot of times it doesn't work out well, and it does affect your ability to qualify for a house, because the bank will factor in that payment to your profile, even though somebody else is technically responsible for it. If they decide that they don't want to pay, then you got to pay. And so that's why it works that way. So I just wouldn't co-sign for anybody. All right. Establish an account with SelfLender. It's selflender.com. You can Google it, set up an account. You can start today. It's free, or it's pretty low cost last time I checked. And again, they just allow you to build your credit. If you have high schoolers, college age students, I would highly, highly encourage you to have them set up an account with SelfLender, because it'll help them build their credit. Get an account with a credit union if you haven't already. I love Navy Federal. If you can't get a Navy Federal, find any local credit union, because like I said earlier, a lot of the things that they offer, they offer the same things that all the big banks do, with just less headache, less stress. Like, I feel like people at the credit union actually like care about you, even if it's fake, right? Even if it's fake, I feel like the people at the credit union actually like give something of a damn about you as a person. Whereas Chase, Bank of America, they're not going, right? They do not care at all. So there's that. What else? Oh, and don't dispute anything online. Don't dispute anything online. You can dispute online with Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, all of them. They allow it, and it's convenient, it's cheap, it's quick. You're like, oh my God, this is so easy. And you will not get the same results that you are entitled to get if you actually take the time, send in a written dispute, and go through do the long way, so to speak. All right. So if you got any questions about that, I will consult with a credit repair professional. If you got any questions about anything that I said on this live, you can feel free to inbox the page or inbox me. Yeah, but again, thank you for watching. You can find me Tuesday, Thursday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time on the Finding Me Queen platform. Follow me on YouTube at Danielle Pierce. I talk about all things related to women, wealth, and real estate. My specialties are repairing and maintaining foreclosed properties and tax lien investing. I can assist you with getting started with either one of those. Be more than happy to do so. And again, thank you for watching. Share the video if you have not already. Definitely appreciate it. And thank you for your time. Hakeem says he heard they have a long process. They do, Hakeem. But I mean, like I said, if you get a house at the end of the day with no out-of-pocket expenses, is that not worth it, right? Unless you just have disposable income and you don't mind paying the down payment, closing costs, appraisal, home inspection, attorney's fees. If you don't mind paying all of that, or you have the money, then go for it. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you Thursday, 12 o'clock. Have a great day. Bye.